Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast. I'm Mel.
And I'm Claire.
And together we are
the Salty Hoes.
So welcome back. How are you doing today, Claire?
Great.
Great, she says, completely believably.
Yes, it's just been... I have a droopy mic today.
You do have
I
a
have
droopy
flaccid
microphone. Oh boy.
It's flaccid and it's erect and then it droops.
What do we need to do to keep that microphone up?
I know. I must rub its shaft or something.
Oh,
sorry.
Do we need some medical intervention?
Oh my God. See, yes, you were going that route, but
a pump,
yes,
perhaps.
Maybe it needs a wee pump or a little pill or something.
Right, a little purple pill.
It's just a metaphor for my dating life right now.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, any recent stories to share about that?
You know, this is something you'd asked me earlier, and this is the result of giving up is no.
Oh.
What are we going to do for content? I don't know.
Well, unless we can find those hot guys from the coffee shop,
God,
I don't know.
We should go back next week at the same time.
Let's do it.
Just for exploratory purposes.
Yeah.
In case it's like their weekly meeting of the Hot Man Club.
It's a fact-finding mission.
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Next week, we will go.
Return and report. Yeah. And confirm if it's the 3 Nephites or not.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Still another episode. Still punting that one down the road.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a good one. How was your week?
My week was good in terms of dating, not so good.
Oh.
I did jump back on the apps after my trip and after semi-recovering from jet lag.
How is your sleep schedule?
It's much better.
Oh, good.
I'm like now at a regular level of tired rather than I'm dying and have been run over by a truck level of tired. So,
Great.
you know, progress is progress.
That is progress. I am happy.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yes. However,
yes.
The app experience was less good than the rest of my week.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Tell us more.
Okay. So I matched with a couple of people this week, and one of them, this is actually kind of funny. We had like a little back and forth conversation, nothing too serious or like whatever. And he said, well, from your profile, it looks like you like the Niners and scuba diving and like a couple other things. And I was like, yes, great.
He read it.
He did look at my profile.
That's like good sign.
I was like, spot on. Yes, those are the things like I'm really interested in. Like, does that overlap with any of your interests?
Yeah.
And he said, I could never scuba dive. I didn't even ask about that specifically. He just said it. He's like, I'm too afraid of aquatic predators.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, well, you know, that's a common fear. And we could talk another time about how much I hate the movie Jaws.
Yeah.
Because of how frightened it made people of sharks.
True.
But, you know, I didn't go into that. I just said, oh, well, you know, that's a common fear. But like really underwater sharks are not an issue. I've never felt afraid.
Yeah.
Man unmatched me right after that.
What? Wait, what? Oh, what?
Isn't that so funny?
Oh my God. That is actually just hilarious. And also, what the hell?
I know. Like, I couldn't stop laughing.
It just, like, it's so funny to me because when you think about it, like how online sort of masks this antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
Because if you were chatting at a bar and that conversation was happening, it would just be the equivalent to walking off.
Right.
Just walking off.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, right?
and like, how dare you try to assuage his fears?
I mean, I just thought it was hilarious. And I actually don't mind if people like just unmatch, like for whatever reason before I've met them. You know, that doesn't actually bother me because like, I get it. We're all like busy and online dating is weird, but it was just like hilarious.
Yes.
And I even tried to phrase it so kindly, not like, oh, you're a little pussy for being afraid of sharks. Like it was, I don't even think there was that undertone to it. I thought I was like very kind.
Of course there wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was a joke. It was about a fiberglass shark.
Oh, actually, and one time I actually did have one more sentence. I said, I should tell you sometime about the time I accidentally scared a shark underwater.
Oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
Which was like hilarious. We startled each other actually because we weren't expecting to come face to face and we did.
Wow.
And like I like jumped and the shark jumped and
That's
like
hilarious.
zipped around and like swam away.
He missed a great story.
I know, right?
But like, was his ego so fragile then that he was like, oh my God.
I don't know.
She's come face to face
I
with
don't
a shark.
know.
I'm weak. I'm no match for this woman. I mean, you would almost hope it was that, but I fear not. Like,
I do. I hope it was
that.
that. Yeah. It was so funny.
Wow.
Anyway, so that is anecdote number one.
Great.
Anecdote
Wow.
I know. Anecdote number 2 was I matched with this other guy, and we had a more extensive conversation. Although kind of looking back, more of the conversation was him monologuing about how awesome he was.
Oh, what a treat for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was amazing.
Right. But he did at least ask a few questions, and it wasn't all that, just like 75 to 80% that, right? So I was like, oh, okay, having a conversation. And then he was like, well, how would you like to proceed? I'm happy to keep talking, or would you like to meet? I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think it's better to meet up sooner rather than later, just so you can see if there's any kind of spark there.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, we could just meet for a drink. And he was like, okay, that sounds good. When do you want to meet? I was like, okay. So I named a day. And then he's like, what time do you want to meet?
Oh my God.
And so I told him a time. And then he was like, where do you want to go? And I was like, I'd like to go wherever your favorite place is.
Simple. Like, we assume he has multiple.
I thought that was a nice way of being, look, I've answered 3 questions about our first meeting. Maybe you could answer the 4th and final.
Well,
right?
And aren't we coached to be like in our feminine energy and following the lead of the man? Like we're sort of like, I'm not saying it's right, but like, that's how it's presented. The dating should roll out.
True. And I'm okay with like kind of being flexible and like splitting the mental load of making decisions. But at the same time, by the 4th question, I was like a little annoyed. It's like, how about you come up with some part of this plan? Right?
Oh my God.
I don't know. And so there was a gap of several hours, which was funny because he was usually like right on it. I'm pretty sure he must have had notifications set, right? Because he usually answered right away.
Yes.
A gap of several hours. And then he goes, you're not going to make this easy on me, are you?
Oh my God.
Right.
You're so demanding.
And then he followed that up with, what part of town do you want to meet in?
Oh, dear God.
I know.
You could just take a lucky guess and do like downtown, like, or
sure,
or surrounding areas. There's plenty of them in Salt Lake.
You could also take the tack, and I like this one, where you offer 2 to 3 choices and say, these are 3 of my favorite places. Yeah. You could pick one downtown, one in Sugar House, one Mid-Valley, something like that. Yeah. You could do one of these things. Or you could just make one suggestion, and then if that's not convenient, the other person's free to make a counter, right?
Well, that would have opened it up beautifully. You could have said, oh, that's a little far away, but it's nice weather. This place has a nice patio. But also, I mean, did you get instant ick when he was like, you're not making it easy, or you're making it hard on me, or something like that comment?
You're like, so I sent a message back and I said, oh, I didn't realize it was difficult to pick a place.
Did he respond to that?
Well, no, there was no response for several hours.
Oh my God.
At which point I just unmatched. I was like, well,
dude was flummoxed, clearly.
Baffled.
Tails spin.
Like, pick a bar. That apparently that
He's
was
like, oh my God, I can't.
A bridge too far.
She's so needy, I can't. Like, this is like too much for my little brain.
I mean, this is a man who, at least according to his profile, is a former professional athlete.
Wow.
Owns a business.
Okay.
And holds down a job.
Wow. You would imagine then that some degree of decision making is involved in his daily life.
One would think.
I mean, you would hope.
You would hope.
You would hope.
Right? But it was just like, I don't know. It was giving I don't care vibes. It was giving I'm not excited to meet you
too
vibes.
Aloof.
You know what I
like
mean?
Too aloof. Yeah.
Which was weird because like he was very responsive in the conversation and like very eager to talk. But then when it came to making a plan, it was like, I don't know. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What do you want?
Oh my God.
It's like, exhausting.
Wow.
So.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, that's just so interesting because, he's got sort of what you might call an impressive background, athlete, business owner, think, like a man who is capable.
Yes.
In many ways. It's hot, right?
It is.
Like it's hot to have a capable man, and then like that's all he had to do. The place.
So simple.
So simple.
So I was just wondering, is this laziness or is this just I'm not very excited, but I guess I might as well go on this date?
Yeah, that is a great question that I think is very difficult to answer. Maybe it's both. Maybe men are inherently lazier when it comes to mental and emotional labor.
Like, I don't know what makes you say that.
I don't. How surprising. I mean, like, I don't want this to be the case. Can I just say that? Like, you know, because people will be like, they're dick punchers. They're just like anti-men. And it's like, no, we are craving certain things.
Yeah.
And we wish it wasn't this way because we're tired.
Very tired. And
decision fatigue is real.
It is real.
Yes.
And I feel like this should be the place where I say hashtag not all men, which I feel like I say that a lot, Claire. Do I say that a lot? I feel like I say it a lot.
I don't. I know.
Yeah, but still, I think that this is a pretty well validated phenomenon.
It's frequent enough because when you and I were chatting and you asked if I had any similar experiences, it was like, oh, yeah. And, you know, there's many instances where I've done what I thought I was supposed to as a good little lady and even like explicitly said, you know, it's hot when a man takes charge. So I'd like to lean into my feminine energy, make this date. Like, you're only picking a goddamn place for fuck's sake. Like, you're not building me a house.
Right, exactly.
Like, taking your horse across town to pick me up on it. Like, this is easy.
I mean, it should be easy. And I just feel like particularly for a first date and particularly when they're asking you out, like, is it really that difficult to come up with plan number one?
Right. You could even have like a to-go plan.
Yeah, right.
Like, we all have our favorite places.
Exactly.
And I have places that I intentionally avoid for dates because they are my favorite places. Yeah. I don't want them ruined.
So fair.
But you could have like a speed dial go-to first date.
Yeah.
You know, like it actually doesn't have to be difficult. And I think it's that line that you and I have talked about before. Like, there's toxic masculinity and there's force and coercion. And then there's just like hot protection man.
Yes.
Like Gary.
Gary from Real Housewives of Rhode Island.
Yes.
We love Gary.
Gary has embodied that protective, respectful, let me take the lead in a non-condescending way.
Yeah, and also I think worth noting, he doesn't seem, at least that we've seen, to be controlling at all.
Not at all. In fact, very supportive of his wife's career, acknowledging the contributions to the household. He, again, I'm sure Joellen would have her complaints. Totally get that. Like, but seems involved with caretaking of the children. That you don't need a high five for that, but sadly, it could be deemed exceptional.
Yes, like the guy we talked about before that referred to watching his own children and how exhausted he was about that.
Oh, yeah. And that was another non-planning man.
Of course.
Yes. We tried to go on a date. I got all Irish there. 2 weekends in a row. And he was flummoxed.
Oh, my God.
Like, and I jokingly, again, tried to be light and said, wow, I'd love to say third time's a charm, but like, you know, I think we're done here. Like 2 weekends in a row of like, non-committal planning.
Right.
And he told me that I was weird and that was a weird expectation. And
wait, it was a weird expectation for him to like not fall through twice in a row?
Yeah, to follow through on the date he asked me on.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow.
And then I never heard from him again. This man was almost 60 years old.
Oh my God.
That is like almost an old age pensioner.
Yes, and yet in behavior.
Right? I'm
not
just
so much.
Like, it's so, you know, baffling. And I often wonder, should we be calling it the male laziness epidemic instead of the male loneliness epidemic?
Well, I think there's something to that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that definitely infects our single men, but also our partnered men.
Yes.
And really all the stats would back us up on that.
Yeah, this isn't us just being bitchy.
No.
Like, not, there's the science, or the data points at least, or men believing they know science.
Oh, boy. Yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack there.
Mm-hmm.
I did look up a couple of stats just to remind myself. This is a report from October 2024, which reports that working women spend twice as many hours per week as working men on childcare and household work combined. So to be clear, both of these are people with like full-time jobs. We're not like talking about a trad wife who's staying home, in which case it would make sense for them to do double or more of the household work. Now, that doesn't excuse, I think, the man from doing any, right? That doesn't mean he gets like a complete pass and does zero. It just means we'd have a little division of labor. But these statistics that I just quoted are for couples in which both partners are working. And this is exacerbated for women, wives and mothers with a lower degree of educational attainment. So women who have a high school education or less are actually doing triple or more the amount of household work and childcare. And once again, that is comparing working mothers with working fathers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Triple. Is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yep.
Like, that's not just sort of a minuscule increase. That's like a lot.
No.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and this is like sadly unsurprising.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know that women, no matter what country they are from, like carry out the largest extent. I can't phrase my sentences today. They carry out the lion's share of unpaid domestic labor globally, even in Scandinavia. I was so disappointed.
I know. You're like, come on, Europe, what are we doing here? I think the gap is a little narrower in places like Scandinavia, but it still exists and it's still quite significant.
It's still there. And, you know, I just always have high hopes for, you know, Scandinavia, because it seems to do so well with like paternity leave and access to education and healthcare and all those like family oriented supportive things. And it's like, oh no, look, still
Men are not pulling their weight.
Yes. And like, where does this come from?
Yeah, well, I think that these are socialized gender roles, and I think that we talked a little bit about this before when we talked about that book, Caliban and the Witch, in our episode, Dating, the Game Where We're All Losers. So if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to that. So we talked about some of like the societal roots of this, I think. Now we were talking a little bit in a different context, right? Like kind of the contempt between the sexes, but I think this plays into, you know, division of household labor as well, right? So the men went to go to the factories, right, to work for capitalism, essentially. Women stayed home, so there was probably some division of labor. And maybe, at least in terms of hours, it might have been more equitable at that point, right? One person is working outside, one person is holding down the household. But that's not the case we have today, right?
Definitely not.
In today's economy, I think most couples, I would say, like almost everyone that I know, both partners are working. Yeah,
and statistically, I believe it's over 50% of women who are the main breadwinner in the home as well. So that also doesn't align.
Yeah, right. And actually, I don't have these stats in front of me, but we also can see just from, you know, these large scale surveys that when women work more, when they're the primary breadwinner and the man might be working part-time or not even working, the woman is still doing the bulk of the domestic labor.
Like something is broken.
Yeah.
And it would seem this is what our episode is about today.
I guess we've kind of landed there.
We have landed on a topic, evolutionary style.
Oh boy.
Just like some of the content. But it's this, there's a weird just contradiction that really benefits men. I'll just say it. Like,
yes.
Because there's, someone asked me the other night about dating. I'll take it back here. And I said, well, I just actually don't. And they were asking some questions. And I said, well, it's interesting because it's like a lot of men nowadays want you to pay for everything, but they don't want you to be smart enough to have a good job. Now, that is a sweeping generalization, but it seemed like the best way to kind of explain what I was trying to get at. You know, I'm not saying that that's like consciously or specifically true, but, you know, it suggests a certain mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have both experienced anecdotally that, you know, there's a lot of men don't enjoy smart women.
Right.
They just don't. In theory, or they might even say it in their bio.
Yes.
But then you're too vocal.
Right.
Right?
Too uppity.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
have opinions of your own.
Yes. And that is weirdly coupled then with this trend that, again, we both experienced of men not wanting to pick a place because that's really difficult, Or you get there and they have set themselves up with drinks and refreshments and they're like, are you going to get yourself something?
Oh, God.
So it's, it's like they want all the things, but also not. I don't know. It's very difficult to explain.
Yeah, they don't know what they want, do they? Bless their little hearts.
Yes. It's like this very, very contradictory situation that I think also bleeds into the household, right? So you can, and even in, the business world, we all know that women get paid less than men.
Yes.
Still.
Yes.
Still. And, up to 25%, a quarter. And that's obviously exacerbated if you are, a woman of color or belonging to other groups. It's the gap is even bigger.
Right.
And we have temporal flexibility, right? This economic phenomena whereby you could have a grad from Harvard, say, let's pick Harvard. And one is male, one is female, same grades, same job after graduation. They're moving up, speaking very heteronormatively to they get married, babies come. That's where you see that gap, right? Because men tend to work harder, quote unquote, in paid employment. Mm-hmm. Women may also still be working, but it's who takes the day off if the child is sick?
Oh, mom, obviously.
Yes. Who is called from the school if they forgot their lunch or...
Yep.
So it's that explains the gender pay gap. It's nothing to do with ability. It's nothing to do with, you deserve to be paid more than this person. It's literally society putting those ideas on women once they bear offspring.
Yeah.
Basically. So I don't know. That all fits together in my brain in terms of it's society and men expect everything but want nothing in certain areas from women all at once. And it just feels like a completely no-win situation.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. They want you to have a job and make good money because otherwise you're a leech, right? You're a gold digger. You're sucking their resources away.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to have all the time to cater, right? To their physical needs, their emotional needs, their sexual needs, right? Their emotional regulation, domestic labor. You're supposed to take care of the children, right? Provide all of the sort of invisible labor, right? The planning, all that stuff, right?
Knowing
falls
the
on
milk
your
is
shoulders.
run out,
Yeah,
bread.
exactly.
Yeah. All of that. Or when a kid needs something for school. Or apparently also the location of a date.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But then you can't also be too demonstrative.
Right.
Or too capable.
No, because that makes them look bad.
Or know about, predators in the ocean.
That was so funny.
Oh my God. Oof. Yeah. It's at this point, it feels confusing.
It is very confusing.
Yeah. Should we talk about a man who tries to explain this away in a field that is not his?
Oh boy. Yes, I would love to. Is it Jordan Peterson?
Adjacent, maybe.
Okay, Jordan Peterson adjacent. I love that.
I mean, I don't know if they know of each other or each other's work, shall we say.
I bet they do.
But it's a type, right?
Yes.
We have the Manosphere podcast. We have the Manosphere talking heads.
Yep.
And then there's us.
Yes.
Or people like us, the ladies sphere. I don't know.
Yeah. Is there a word already? Friends, we need to know.
Yeah.
The femisphere? That sounds weird.
I quite like that. It
Yeah.
kind of does sound like a vaginal lubricant or some kind of a cream for an itch. But
Oh, it was kind of reminding me of Rush Limbaugh back in the 90s, endlessly screaming rabidly about feminazis.
Oh my God. Yes. Well, here we are. We've organized into the femisphere.
Okay, perfect.
For all your needs. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of that, which is interesting in and of itself, right? In terms of who we credit with being experts or,
Yes. Yes.
We've talked about this in relation to vaccines many times.
God, yeah.
Yeah. So there is a young man by the name of...
Hit me.
Is it David Buss or Boos?
That vaguely rings a bell. I would want to say Buss.
Yeah. Buss, in case you want to Google him.
I'm going to say Buss.
Yes, Buss. We'll call him Mr. Buss.
All right, so here we go. We're boarding the David bus.
We're boarding.
What does David have to say?
Let's get on the train. Well, see, initially when I found David, I was like, oh, this could be quite interesting because David is an educated man.
Well, right. You said he's from Harvard, right?
Yeah, works at Harvard and is an evolutionary psychologist.
Oh my God. Okay, already already I'm having some feelings.
You're like, okay.
So for those of you that don't know, all of y'all listeners, I have a degree in evolutionary biology, a graduate degree. And there is kind of this widespread phenomenon by people that aren't necessarily trained in evolutionary biology to sort of jump on the evolution bandwagon. And evolutionary psychology is actually famous for just making shit up.
Ooh.
Just purely making shit up and then putting it in the context of evolution and like presenting the whatever, they're saying as if it is some sort of biological reality. Okay, so evolutionary psychology does not have a good reputation among evolutionary biologists. And I know these things sound similar, but they're not. And
very different.
As soon as I hear evolutionary psychologist, I will say my hackles come up and I'm already extremely skeptical for what is about to happen. Now, I think evolution is like a really tempting place for people to jump into. And Jordan Peterson does it too, by the way. Okay, so Jordan Peterson has this whole story about like the social structure of lobsters, which he thinks explains something about humans. We're not going to go into it. He's first of all wrong about the biology and secondly incorrect in the conclusion he's drawing, but whatever. And I think part of the problem is that evolutionary biology, kind of the basic concept of it, natural selection, is actually quite easy to grasp, or it's deceptively simple.
Yeah.
And so people sort of see that and then they're like, oh, okay. And then they look around at the world and they're like, okay, well, putting these two things together, then this must explain this. But the problem with evolutionary psychologists is quite often they have, shall we say, a lot of assumptions baked in. And historically, many of these have been incredibly sexist and incredibly racist and incredibly homophobic. And so
surprising.
I know, right? Shocker. I'm not saying that like this guy is yet, because I'm not sure what you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
But I will say that the field, quote unquote, is rife with examples of this. So you can look at, things like the bell curve, right? Like somebody asserting that non-white people are less intelligent. That's been thoroughly debunked. But that is someone sort of using the trappings of science to try to advance this as like a biological reality when it's not, okay? And there's many other examples as well. So
didn't they try to prove at one point, I believe it was like early 20th century, particularly around the time like the Olympics were held in Germany, and there was a whole mindset happening.
Sure, the eugenics movement was alive and well.
Oh yes,
going to town.
And they tried to prove that black athletes had an extra ankle bone, and that they were also evolutionarily similar to primates. I mean, it was so deeply offensive and racist.
Yes,
but they had to explain away success, right. by saying, well, some evolution hat tip to an extra ankle bone, which funnily enough doesn't actually exist.
Right, does not exist. It turns out, and I should say and also disclaim that there is a pretty long history of sexism and racism for biologists as well. Okay, so I'm not saying that biologists are immune to this. Historically, they definitely have not been. Okay, so like the father of population genetics, Ronald Fisher, very famously a racist eugenicist, also came up with some of the fundamental concepts in this field. All right, so I'm not saying that like biologists good, psychologists bad, but I am saying that it seems like it's the same shit has persisted in quote evolutionary psychology with kind of more tenacity than it's persisted in the biological community. I'm not saying it's gone in the biological community. I'm not claiming that at all. But I'm saying there's been some progress. But like a lot of this evolutionary psychology, we're still actually seeing it.
So ironically, no evolution in the field of evolutionary psychology.
Yeah, and actually this would fall probably, I'm not sure what you're going to say, but under what we call an evolution, quote, just so stories. And that is a literary reference to Rudyard Kipling and his just so stories, right? Like how the camel got its hump, how the giraffe got its neck, like, and they're fanciful, cute children's stories, right? But it's like, oh, like the crocodile pulls on the giraffe and that stretches his neck out, right? And there's like a similarly cute story about the camel and his hump. They're not true stories.
Wait, that's not true?
Right. And
that's
so
not what happened?
we use that, I know, shocker. We use that derogatorily in evolutionary biology when somebody's like, oh, I see this phenomenon and now I'm going to like assign it this fanciful theory. We call these just so stories.
Interesting.
Okay.
And I mean, there's ways you could do that, right? You could argue that in all the what we would call quote unquote canon of literature or, you know, any kind of artifacts or theories or disciplines that, you know, once upon a time, it was very white. It was very racist. It was very manly dominated. Some still, right?
Yes.
You know, when you look at even the texts that are heralded as, you know, the canonical texts and everybody must read this. And unsurprisingly, they're mostly old white men, right? From Europe. And so, yes, we can absolutely acknowledge and excuse that from all the disciplines. So, yeah, no shade on the evolutionary psychologists, but apparently there seems to be a slew, shall we say, of men like Jordan Peterson, also PhD, right?
Yes, he is. He's a clinical psychologist.
Not necessarily in the areas he's talking about.
Correct.
And that is the difference.
Yes, that's the difference.
Yes. It would be akin to me coming on here and presenting some just so, like, marine biology examples, for example. I am credentialed, but not in that area.
Correct.
Yes.
Just like I am not credentialed in humanities.
Right. It's just like we all have our own little lane.
That's right.
Is there some crossover? Sometimes, sure. But, you know.
Sure. And I think, like, it's really great to be curious about fields that aren't yours and read about them and learn about them. But when it comes time to presenting yourself as an expert.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Well, it turns out I'm not an expert in humanities, right? I'm interested, but I don't have specific expertise.
And likewise on the science. So, yes, we are not going to cross over into that field of talking about other people's expertise.
Right.
Just like a good life lesson, generally.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about this.
Oh, that's right. We're on the David Buss.
Yes, we're on the David Buss. And, you know, we're trying to look at this idea of, does science support the idea that men are inherently lazier than women? I want to say I didn't come up with this premise. I took
all right.
this.
So you're quoting.
I'm quoting.
Okay.
Yes.
Excited.
Yes. But on the David Buss, it suggests that human energy expenditure and motivation evolve differently between the sexes to solve distinct ancestral survival and reproductive challenges.
Okay. I mean, so far we're not totally saying anything crazy here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you could be like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's a general statement. I wouldn't take too much exception to it. We definitely talk about evolutionary biology and ecology in terms of energetics, right? Because energy is finite. You have an energy budget and organisms have to allocate it to like survival versus reproduction versus whatever. So, okay. And it's also true that in species where the male is distinct from the female, you know, and the more different they are, probably the more true this might be. There could be different intrinsic, essentially, fitnesses, right? What's good for one sex might not be good for the other, and vice versa.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and we might have differences in terms of what energy we allocate to reproduction, to care of offspring, etc. Okay, so we're not totally crazy yet.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
so we're
left
starting.
field.
We're starting with energetics. Okay,
Yeah.
I like it.
You probably just need to go to like a Pilates class and look at men and women to understand that they are
different, yeah.
in
Or a
their
climbing gym,
energy
you can see
fields.
that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like a weightlifting gym.
Definitely.
Right? All the ways.
Sure.
All the ways.
Yeah.
We do different things. We can accept and acknowledge that. Like
Right. And as humans, we're a sexually dimorphic species, meaning that men and women are morphologically somewhat different. Now, we have, I would say, mild sexual dimorphism compared to looking at other species, right?
Yeah.
We're not like an elephant seal where the male is like several times larger than the female,
Yeah.
right? You know,
It's like more subtle.
right. And it
Yeah.
is like a spectrum, right? But on average,
Yeah.
right, men are larger and stronger than women with more muscle mass. So we can say that. We're
Yeah.
somewhat sexually dimorphic. Secondary sex characteristics tend to be, not absolutely, but tend to be different, right? In terms of fat deposition, et cetera.
Yes.
Hair deposition.
Yeah.
Or hair growth,
it's just
I
in
should
different
say.
places.
Yeah,
yes.
right. So,
Or not.
okay, fair
Yeah.
enough so far.
Yes. So he talks about the primary evolutionary dynamics. And one of them, which we kind of touched on already, is this parental investment theory. So it claims that women historically faced a much higher obligatory biological investment in reproduction, so pregnancy, lactation.
Okay.
And so evolution favored maximizing energy efficiency to ensure both mother and offspring could survive harsh conditions. I already have a problem with this one, and I'm not even a scientist.
Okay, please, let's hear your problem.
Well, like, I already feel like it's pushing women into, so that's just your domain. Whereas if I was to understand this in the way it was written, it would suggest to me that there should be more domestic support from men to support the energy, the natural, obligatory, as it's termed, energy expenditure from the mother.
Right.
Because it's like almost a justification for nurturing and domestic labor. But if I was, reading this just in a logical sense, it would suggest to me then that they needed more care and like literal support.
Yeah.
But it's justifying the opposite.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Right. So I guess I'm a little confused what he means by energy efficiency here. Does he mean in terms of behavior or some other thing?
That's the part that scares me.
Yeah, I mean, because it is true that women, it is energetically expensive to incubate a baby and then lactate.
Whoa.
I mean,
yeah.
who knew, right? I'm sure all of us who have been pregnant are familiar with that. At one
Yes.
point, you're like, I need to eat every literal thing that's not nailed down.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, that
Often.
was like second trimester.
Yeah.
Eat all the things.
Yes.
Literally all of them.
You're building a human.
Exactly.
Yes. So from that perspective, it makes sense.
It's an energy intensive thing. I'm not sure what that says about dynamics between men and women.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, anatomically modern humans evolved like about 200,000 years ago, something like that. So it's fairly recent.
I'm like, that's recent.
Extremely.
You're like, in the grand scheme, yes.
That's actually yesterday. So like
Wow.
I would somewhere between 200, 300,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a blink of an eye evolutionarily speaking. Okay. But that's kind of
Yeah.
like the origin of our species.
Oh, does that align with the creation of the earth religious story?
It does not.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sidebar. Other
Exactly.
episode.
And of course we had hominin ancestors
Yeah.
before that and relatives.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're talking about like older, not anatomically modern humans, but like human-like organisms,
Yeah.
we could push that back to a few million years,
Yeah.
right? I don't know the whole timeline. I haven't followed it. I'm not a
Yes.
biological anthropologist.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about tens of millions of years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it's very recent. And what is he saying about that? If I think about like when humans evolved, let's say about 300,000 years ago or 250,000 years ago, something like that. I mean, like, I wouldn't think that sex dynamics look like they do now.
Yeah.
Right? Like there wasn't a division of labor in the sense that like men were going to work in factories, you know? Humans were living in small sort of family and family adjacent structures.
And it was all like the subsistence economy.
Exactly.
Not
So
the
everybody was
industrialized.
kind of doing everything.
Yeah, like planting the plants.
I mean,
preparing
probably
the food.
not even agriculture to start with.
Yeah.
Like that's pre-agriculture, I would think.
Yes. And
So-
then those tools evolved and
So we're talking about hunting and gathering, really.
yeah, and nomadic to static,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. But yeah, it was like subsistence economy, so people were not falling into those rules that again we outlined in
Right.
our previous episode.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'm not sure where he's going with this. Like to say that pregnancy requires energy is true, but like
Yeah.
what does that mean?
But like
about...
what does it mean?
Yeah.
So maybe this will help.
Okay.
It goes on to say energy conservation versus bursts. This is again where it starts to really concern me too. So hormonally, estrogen in women promotes fat storage for reproductive energy. In contrast, testosterone in men drives muscle development, high intensity, short duration bursts of energy, often associated with hunting or defending or competing for mates. So I think where we're going here is that it's saying that women have basically the fat storage promoted by estrogen to keep going, whereas men should only be expected to have short bursts, evolutionarily speaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you see where we're going here? I don't like
off.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. And, they do allude to what we just stated, ancestral survival required cooperative work, right?
Yes.
And men were often tasks. I don't actually necessarily buy into this, and it goes against what we just said too. The idea that men are often tasked with short-term, high-output exertion like hunting, whereas women, it was more balanced, long-term, continuous energy expenditure like gathering and childcare. I think that's bogus.
Okay, it actually is.
Yes.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So that has been kind of the historic view from anthropologists, the men are the hunters, the women are the gatherers. Evidence actually does not support that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is essentially people with an already baked in bias, right? A sexist bias, looking at more, quote, primitive cultures or archaeological evidence and interpreting it through that lens. Okay, so they might be recording men hunting and women gathering, and then ignoring conveniently the cases where that was not true. There was actually, let me look it up really quick. There was actually a paper that was published on this a couple of years ago. It was a fairly extensive paper. It was in PLOS. I'm just looking for it right now.
Well, while you're looking for that, I could share a wee story on that.
Yes.
Because I think even when you look at, anthropology and sociology, which are not my areas, you could argue adjacent, but I've done some research in the area of looking at cave paintings.
Oh, yes.
Specifically,
amazing.
like the Lascaux caves in France.
Oh, I would love to go see those.
Oh, amazing. Yes, I would love to as well. And the idea that, so we do know that there were actually a large group of older women hunters, and that's well documented.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other episode when it comes to perceptions of the menopause and all of that, because that's typically the age when women did that, which kind of debunks the you are decrepit and should go out to pasture and die myth, which you and I get very upset about. And that is definitely an episode up and coming, and perhaps a book group too. So
I love that.
Back to the caves. So they had these hunting paintings.
Yes.
Little, cave art like we see in southern Utah.
I can picture it in my head. I've seen pictures of these cave paintings.
Amazing, right? And you're looking going, wow, that's so old. Even when I see...
Yeah, and also artistically very sophisticated.
Yes.
Really beautiful.
Amazing. And they signed the painting just the way artists sign paintings with a handprint.
Love.
Because it was pre-literacy. Obviously, people weren't writing their letters, doing their ABCs. So that was their way of claiming their art. This is mine. Do you know, Melissa, that it wasn't until the early 2000s, so the 21st century, where somebody said, oh, I wonder who did paint those? Because the assumption was just, it was men.
Of course.
It's hunting pictures. It was the men's.
Yes.
So,
they're also the best artists too, by the way.
Oh, of course. Women can't do anything creative because their estrogen energy, fat storage has them off laboring for...
Too busy lactating.
Yeah, exactly. And doing all the work because they're genetically predisposed to do so. And so somebody was like, oh yeah, well, how do we do that? And they're like, well, let's measure the handprints and we could probably ascertain from that. Guess what they find?
They were women.
Over 80% definitively were created by women.
Oh my God.
And that was only definitively, because back to all the words that I can't pronounce that you just used, but in terms of the concept, they're saying that, I'm loath to even use this word in a context where I am not an expert, but evolutionarily, the difference between hand size is smaller now.
Yeah.
But back in the time of the caves, it was bigger.
Yes.
I'll just use the simple terms. And so they were able to definitively say, it may be a little harder to detect currently.
Yes.
But then it was not. And so the fact that nobody even thought to ask this question for thousands of years, and just the assumption, hunter, man, creator, man, turns out not.
Yeah, I wish I could say that surprised me.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised,
Yeah.
just disappointed.
Yes. It's just like, oh, well, there's another wee story.
Well, I pulled up the study I was looking at,
Great.
and it actually folds in very beautifully to what you just
Oh,
said.
look at that.
Okay, so this was published in PLOS One, so this is a good journal.
Yeah.
The senior author is Kara Wall-Scheffler. And there were several other authors, but she's the senior author.
Yeah.
And they went back and looked at 63 different sort of subsistence, I can't say that
That's
word.
a tricky word.
Level societies, okay, where there had been this narrative that men were hunting and women were gathering. They found that in almost 80% of them, women actually were hunting. Okay, so women were hunters. And then there is also this other idea that, okay, well, women hunted sometimes, but it was just like opportunistic. Like when an animal ran into camp, like a small animal, then maybe they would like dispatch that for food. Untrue. They said, okay, women were making their own tools. They were training girls to make tools and go hunting, and they were hunting large animals.
Yeah.
So it looks like this was actually a task that was being shared between men and women. Now, perhaps not when a woman was actively pregnant or lactating, but they said in a lot of cases the grandmas were the best hunters of the village.
Yes.
So that experience over time, right?
So here's an interesting thing.
Yes.
We have just shared data points from our entirely separate fields where we do have a lot of years of research.
Yes.
A lot of years of, knowledge, not just information, which is a lot of times where some of the manosphere people are coming from, right? We have some knowledge to interpret data sets or behaviors or patterns, right? I'm not trying to be like, we're so clever, but I'm just setting the scene.
Yes.
I'm just setting the scene, like objectively speaking, right? Like, so here we are, and we've both shared kind of off the cuff, just like, oh, I remember this one thing, and oh my God, they both align.
Yeah.
80%.
Yep.
And grandmothers.
Yep.
Taken from two different fields, and yet the results are the same. Like, what do you know?
Yeah, so I think we got to get off the David bus because he is claiming that there is like this division of labor between men and women that essentially is evolutionary and biological.
Yeah.
Okay, and that seems to be untrue from the actual evidence that we've just presented. I actually want to share one more study because when I was looking this up, this came up and I remembered it as well. So this is from Randy Haas. He's a biological anthropologist, and he was part of a team in Peru that found a 9,000-year-old set of human remains buried with what they described as an unusually large number of hunting tools. And everybody was like, oh my God, like this person must have been a really important hunter. He must have been a chief. He must have been like this amazing like dude. And then they analyzed the skeleton.
Ooh,
and I think you know what's coming. Yeah, dude was a woman. Yeah. Isn't that great? And so they went back and decided to look at a whole bunch of grave sites across the Americas where people had identified a great hunter, right? Someone buried with grave goods that
clearly
represented hunting. And they found that between 30 to 50%, about 40% of these were women.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can tell from a skeleton, right? So this is someone who's buried. So like that's direct evidence.
Yes. And even the fact it's like the cave paintings where they find the skeleton and before they could do the analysis we're like, well, clearly he was a great,
Yeah, they just assume because they're looking through the lens of the bias they already have, which is what I would suggest this David Buss thing is as well.
Yes.
He's like, I already have a lens.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to interpret like men and women's body composition according to this, right? And so he's saying that, men and women are sexually dimorphic. Nobody, I think, serious would argue with that. But he's saying that men have more muscle to support like this hunting, whereas women have a greater fat deposit to support, I don't know, sitting on their ass and having babies, like gathering, sitting in camp, something like that, domestic labor. But we have like some pretty good anthropological evidence here that shows that that is not the case. And so, why do we have different secondary sex characteristics? Well, one competing hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, would say that maybe this is for sexual selection.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's because we find different things attractive as men versus women. Okay, women maybe are attracted to. Now, maybe I'm telling a just a story here as well.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying this is an equally viable, probably more viable, actually, hypothesis than what he is proposing.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because he tries to kind of roll those two things in together.
Yes.
By one explaining the other, essentially, that because of these different adaptive challenges, the issue being that the adaptive challenges are not correctly identified for the most part. And so that's like a really interesting part. And he's tried to actually couple that with those universal differences in what we look for in romantic partners in terms of male, heavily valuing physical markers of fertility, which is, also kind of bogus as well. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just finding a lot of like things that are used as a justification for sometimes egregious behavior, but if you really looked at even the evidence they're presenting would suggest a different course of behavior. That's another confusing part to me.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So I think that at least what you've shared so far, we can sort of throw this out, right? Like the data contradicts it. If he's saying something about attraction as well, I would say, well, beauty standards change over time.
Absolutely, because I wouldn't say the men are seeking like the wide hips these days.
Yeah, right.
Like,
we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Like apparently skinny, like unhealthy skinny
like
is
stick.
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should talk about that for sure in a separate episode. We've been asked by a few people for an update to our Botox and boob jobs episode, so we'll have to do another one. But yeah, beauty standards do change over time, and they are different in different cultures. It's not universal. He's looking at this from a very white male Harvard point of view, I think.
Oh, yes, and maybe personal preference, not to cast dispersions upon the David Buss, but
do you think he's an ass guy or a tits guy?
Or, well, I was going to say something potentially inappropriate, so I shall not say it. But yes, it's, you talked about how, 200,000 years is considered relatively short.
Yeah, in evolutionary time it is.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Like, it's short, yeah. And when you look, I remember this article I read, and it went through beauty standards, and it... By decade.
Oh, interesting.
And so they were so, like, different within the span of 10 years. So that's like a really quick period of time. And I mean, you and I are of midlife.
Yes.
And we can probably remember ourselves, trends, like the reason why a lot of women our age have no eyebrows, because we were supposed to not have any when we were teenagers.
Yes.
So people took them all off and they never grew back, and now you're supposed to have bushy ones, and you know what I mean? So even in our lifetime, we've seen different ideas of what a beautiful woman is and all of that good stuff. So yeah, I think using it as a justification for what we're attracted to is definitely bogus at best, because how would you even chart that?
Yeah, I think tying it to like energy requirements and gender specific roles in ancestral societies is like many bridges too far. Like at this point, I feel like the wheels have fallen off the David Buss.
Oh, yes. And before we pull the cord to get off at the next stop, I just want to point out the more egregious side, perhaps, or one of these examples of how it's used as almost but very inadvertently as a justification, almost like a what was she wearing kind of route, but worse because he's trying to root it in science. So I guess he has this, it's either a book or a study called The Dark Side of Human Nature, where it focuses on quote unquote evolutionary roots. Here we have him using this again, of conflict between the sexes and intimate partner violence, stalking, and homicide. That is a reach.
Okay. And
okay.
All right, now I'm angry.
Yeah,
I was pissed before, now I'm angry. All right, so he's essentially going to use, once again, looking through the lens of his, what I have to assume is a very sexist bias,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To say that this kind of behavior like domestic partner violence and rape and violence is biologically encoded.
It is,
So it's basically men's destiny to be
right.
violent.
Yes.
And our destiny to be victims.
Yeah, because we have estrogen dominant fat storage. and men like to do stuff that they didn't actually do, women did in short bursts. So that explains it. That
Wow.
justifies it.
Yeah.
If you were ever wondering.
Oh my God. I don't like this at all.
Yes, so let's pull the cord.
Yeah, that's very upsetting. Or yes, maybe it could be, sir, because we are living in a socialized patriarchy where consequences are, slim to none for these kinds of actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, where women are not believed nor supported.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But this is, justified, right?
Jeez.
It's just biology, Melissa.
Oh my God.
Did you not learn that in grad school?
I learned a little bit of biology, yes.
Just a wee bit.
Here and there.
Just a wee tiny sprinkling.
I guess I would say that you could look at certain behaviors in our closest relatives, I suppose, and say like, okay, there's probably some genetic predisposition for certain behaviors or whatever. Like if you look at one of our two closest species, closely related species, that would be chimpanzees. Like they're very aggressive and they're very violent on average, right?
Yeah.
Like no, not all the time, right? They're not, but in there is conflict, right?
Yes.
And there are many accounts of chimpanzees killing each other for, territorial reasons or like whatever. Okay. So there's some of that. There's actually, by the way, a hypothesis. I won't go too far down this route, but to say that like we as humans kind of domesticated ourselves and became a little friendlier and nicer, right?
Yeah.
Just as an adaptation to live in bigger groups and closer proximity
That's
to each
nice.
other. Hard to know.
Yeah.
Our other most closely related species are the bonobos. Okay, you might have heard of the bonobos.
I know them only as a band, but
Oh,
yes.
okay. Well, see,
And a
this is
clothing brand.
great. So in contrast to chimpanzees, bonobos have a more female-dominated society. They are much more peaceful.
Yes.
They seem to enjoy,
shocking.
sexual encounters of all time,
Oh.
of all kinds, right? So
you go.
researchers have documented sex for pleasure between males and females, females and females, males and males.
Yeah.
They seem to just do it for fun, oral sex, all kinds of things going on with the bonobos.
Where do we find the bonobos?
I know, right? So like they're usually described as quite peaceful.
Yeah.
I did read a
'Cause they're
recent.
happy.
I know. I did read a recent report though, and it makes me kind of even more want to be a bonobo, where they actually did record a very violent episode. In a troop of bonobos.
Yeah.
And this happened when a male, an adult male or a subadult male, started messing with the little bonobos.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the little baby bonobos, like doing things that were not great with them.
Oh.
And the females of the troop banded together and beat him to death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had great hopes for the bonobos until yes.
Well, with the release of the Epstein files,
Yes.
can we just like put together a little group of bonobos?
That is true. Some justice from within.
Well, it makes sense, right?
Yes.
Like the male was messing with in a violent way the babies of the troop.
Yeah.
And the females of the troop were like, mm-mm.
We're like, that's not happening,
Yeah.
bitch. Get
Exactly.
out. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's not, that would nip it in the bud.
Right.
Because let's face it, the reason why a lot of things like that happen is because it goes unpunished, right?
Yep.
So you would imagine that, again, evolutionarily speaking, that if that kind of justice was meted out immediately,
As it seemed to be.
it would wipe out that behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, can that explain then why they are so peaceful now?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, that took me like a little minute to, as you may have noticed, to compute in my brain. Because I was like, wait, violence bad? No. And then I was like, but wait, there's more. Like, yeah.
Right. This would be like the equivalent of a child rapist.
Yes.
Which
is justified.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just, protecting the people that need to be protected.
Yeah, the little ones.
Yes, the little ones. And that should be true of any Any groups? Bonobos? Humans?
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't like violence either, but I'm just saying it feels
Of
like
course.
almost an illustrative anecdote, right? Like these bonobos like have a very peaceful society, but maybe this is why. It's because they don't
Yes.
tolerate it, right?
Yes.
They're like, yeah, no.
It just seems like, dare I use the word natural consequence?
Right.
Right? You know, it's like, well, that wouldn't happen if you didn't do weird shit.
Right. And look, I'm not trying to like draw, this direct correlation to us and bonobos. Yeah, these are, as well as chimpanzees, our closest relatives.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're chimpanzees nor bonobos.
Of
We are
course.
a third separate species,
Yeah.
which has evolved in its own way. I just think you got to be really careful when you're trying to like draw these conclusions,
Yeah.
like from other species or from just looking around and saying, oh, society looks like this, so there must be a biological and evolutionary reason, when
Right.
there's not necessarily. More
Yeah.
likely there's a cultural reason.
Or it's completely misconstrued.
Yeah, or
like
that.
Mr. David's bus. Yes, that's definitely fair. There were some other studies done that I think are worth pointing out here as well,
Please.
in terms of looking at single men.
Okay.
So, like, if there wasn't a woman around, like, what were their cleanliness habits, shall we say? And they looked also at single women. And we've probably touched on this as well in our Why Don't Men Use Soap episode.
Oh my God.
Yeah, about, like, cleanliness. And I've definitely read some things. I think the most disturbing statistic was on, like, rate of sheet changeage of the bed.
Oh no.
And, you know, with your own anecdotal experience of the bathroom,
Oh God, yes, the biohazard bathroom.
the biohazard bathroom, you know, that single women will tend to change sheets at a much higher rate than
Makes
than
sense.
single men.
I mean, they start smelling bad at some point.
Yes, and like if you are smelling them, that's gone like way too far.
Yeah.
Like, please change your sheets before you A, feel a film on them, or B, smell them.
Oh,
Yeah,
gross.
definitely not good. So a study found that single women with no children reported doing almost twice as much cooking, cleaning, and laundry as single men with no children.
Interesting.
So the marriage part wasn't a factor. So,
they just have lower standards in terms of being clean and tidy?
well, this particular article phrases it in a way that maybe I would only think about in my quiet voice in my head. But it says, in other words, men are simply more slovenly than women and less averse to filth.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, those aren't necessarily my words, but
Yeah.
it's
You're just quoting.
relatable,
Just quoting.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think this is biological, but could this simply be like a difference in how like women and men are raised, right? Like what the kind of norms are?
You would have to think that that would be a big one, right? Like, I have this conversation with my kids often, and I have 2 daughters and 1 son, and they will call me out, my daughters in particular, that I definitely had them do different kinds of like chores in the house. And let me say, this is coming from a perspective of someone who was very intentionally trying not to do that.
Interesting.
And they noticed it still.
Wow.
And perhaps would even claim that I still
Oh.
may make some gendered differences between the daughter baby children and the son baby child. So, you know, it's just interesting. So, yeah.
Wow.
And,
Well,
like,
the power
I really
of
tried not
socialization.
to.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yes. And I remember, you know, heroine of the middle-aged lady group, Glennon Doyle,
Oh, yes.
that she made a very good point one time in one of her books about the way she would always talk to her. I think she is 1 son and 2 daughters as well, maybe. And, you know, she would try very intentionally to make this like a feminist baby boy child. And I'm struggling to remember the exact example that she gave, but, you know, she caught herself at one point going, okay, maybe that wasn't like the exact right strategy, you know, like I think she was like pointing at women being like, they can be doctors and astronauts, or, you know, and she made an observation among her kids' friends that especially when they got to the teen years, and I think obviously, Glennon Doyle is not claiming to be an evolutionary psychologist or biologist, but she just observed that, like, when they all got together, you know, male and females together, that they took on these different, very defined roles.
Interesting.
And particularly, as we alluded to as well, like things like even eating.
Yeah.
The boys would get stuck in and the girls would pretend like they had no needs.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Wow.
And it hadn't been there as children.
Yes.
And then it emerged in teenagehood.
Wow.
So
they absorbed that from popular culture / friends / schools, just like
home?
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... I surely that would speak to more on the behavior side of arguments rather than some kind of, you know, biological explanation. I don't know.
Wow.
Or a combo, nature, nurture. I don't know. The timeless debate. But yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Feels socialized to me, but you know, I don't know.
Well, particularly if you can observe that change.
Right.
In people that you're very close to and have very intentionally tried to not foster those behavioral dynamics in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anecdotal, but yet useful.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're over an hour. Any other final thoughts about men's laziness? I'm going to be bold and say I don't think that men are inherently lazier than women, but I do think that if people can get away with working less, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
In general.
I think that's fair.
Sometimes. Not all people.
Yeah. But a lot.
Yeah.
And
if you just if all you have to do is stand there and look helpless, load the dishwasher wrong and insist you don't know how to cook, and it gets you out of half of the domestic labor, I mean, there's some powerful incentive to do that.
The weaponized incompetence piece of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I'll be really bad at that, even though I claim that I am the only person, maybe in part because of my gender, that can run this firm as a leader.
Yes.
And I can't do this other thing over here. I actually had a friend, and who shall remain anonymous, in another land, who had a husband, still has a lovely husband, who owned a disaster cleanup company.
Oh, yeah.
And, he had many stories of very, very gross encounters.
Oh, God, I bet.
That ran the gauntlet of just actual tragedy to, almost funny, human waste stories.
Oh, God.
And
hoarders type of shit.
I mean, everything you can imagine.
Good Lord.
Crime scene, hoarders.
Oh, no.
Sewer explosions.
Oh, gross.
And yet, she was amazed that he couldn't change a diaper or touch a chicken breast.
Oh, come on now.
Yes. You see?
Come on. Yeah.
Yes. So what is learned, or maybe not even learned, but contextual.
Yes.
So you can scoop shit off the sidewalk.
Right.
But not a teeny baby poop.
Oh, my God. That's wild.
Yeah. So maybe it's more to do with context. What men and women both perceive as work.
Yes.
It's all a thing. It's all a thing.
It's all a thing.
Well, here's the thing, Melissa. We haven't necessarily solved the problems or, but I like to think that maybe we present different questions to ask.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because we can't solve things if we're not asking the right questions. So while the David Buss is, presenting a different scenario, I'm just saying this is why, because...
Right, presenting sexism with the trappings of science.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. Maybe there's just other questions to ask, like, who were the cave painters? Who were the hunters?
Yes.
And cross-discipline, we come to this beautiful union that would suggest something other than the general narrative.
Yep, that was a really cool moment we just had there. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So, we're not here on our manosphere counterparts to be like, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're declaiming what all the answers are. We're just, we're just having a chat about some things we've noticed.
Yeah, maybe ask this question.
Yeah.
Maybe ask who painted them rather than waiting millennia to
Right.
just offer a simple question. So.
Yeah, right. Or maybe like this fact that they even had to go back and like look at the bones and be like, oh shit, those are lady hunters.
Those are lady bones.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that pelvis.
We
and
never
those
even
hips.
checked before. We just assumed it was a
Right.
dude because there were like
Yes.
spears and shit in the grave.
And you know, we could bring this back to dating. Who tends to ask more questions?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And like I believe that many would agree anecdotally and maybe also data set wise.
Yeah.
So maybe the solution is we all need to ask questions more generally.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
Well, to close, I have one thing I would like to repeat that I just remembered as we were talking that my son said to me in the car the other day.
Oh, I love G-isms. That's
Yes,
great.
and I actually don't know if he like made this up or if he like read it somewhere and was telling me, but I was driving him to school and just out of nowhere, he said, "You know what? You know about the gender pay gap?" I was like, "Yep." He's like, "Well, women are just paid less than men because they choose lower paid careers." He's like, "Men, for example, choose careers like doctor, lawyer, and engineer, where women choose lower paying careers like lady doctor, lady lawyer, or lady engineer."
I love that. Oh my God, kid is a genius. Because, like, for a moment, I was like, "Oh shit, where's this going?" But I was like, "Wait, I know G, and it wouldn't be going there."
Wasn't that amazing? I was
is
also
smart.
I was also waiting to hear the punchline there.
Yes,
And I
because you're
could-
like, "Nah, he's not going there." I know that. Oh,
Isn't that great?
amazing.
Couldn't stop laughing.
Yes, that is beautiful because I have heard that argument frequently still to this day from middle-aged men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, next time hit him with that.
Hit him with that one. Love it. Thank you, G. Good times.
All right, friends, we're going to wrap up. I hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed this. As always, if you did, please go ahead and send some love our way. A like, a follow, a 5-star rating, a wee review, or comment.
All of it.
We love it all.
We will gladly accept all of it. And men, single, wed, unwed, living in sin, whatever, just wash your sheets. For the love of God.
Do
please.
that. And your
Yes.
underwear. Okay, thanks, friends. We'll catch you next time. Take care now. Bye.